What we're gonna do today is something that Jordan, you and I have talked about doing before. I can't remember what episode it was where we did kind of halfway do this, but we're gonna go full bore on a Pro Football Reference rabbit hole today on the Kansas City Chiefs franchise encyclopedia. Um, we're just gonna start with the team. We're just gonna go from there, and we're just gonna talk about it, just because there's not a whole lot of storylines. OTAs did start on Wednesday, but there's not a lot of reports out from there either. I mean, it's just they're just in this time where they're just doing their thing, and there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And what better way to get away from speculation and get back to the facts than just look back at the Pro Football Reference pages and do some trivia and kind of look at Chiefs teams of years past and different stuff like that. Look around the league and see what went on.
Right, I'm right there with you. So let's go ahead and look at a random Chiefs team. Do you have a year you want to look at, Jordan?
I want to
Maybe
look at
start up with the roster.
let's do 2013. That first year with Alex Smith. I think that'll be fun.
Okay. The 2013 Kansas City Chiefs, they went 11-5, lost in the wild card round. Also, the first year of Andy Reid, of the Andy Reid regime, too. Some very interesting. I want to go to the roster here for this team. Here we go. So, we're going to the rushing and receiving stats here. Jamal Charles obviously led the team in rushing yards that year with 1,287, 12 touchdowns. Alex Smith was number 2 in rushing yards on that team with 431. That's pretty impressive for a quarterback. I know that we talk about Patrick Mahomes' rushing stats a little bit, but Alex Smith had a pretty decent rushing tenure in Kansas City.
Yeah, Alex always had wheels, even back at
Mhm.
Utah in college. I mean, he has always been a really good athlete and a guy that he wasn't afraid to take off and run. I know there was a game, I think that was in the 2017 season, I want to say, where they played over in London and he had like a 70-yard run or
Mhm.
whatever. Like I
Yeah.
think it was against the Lions that game. I could be confusing it with the Jets game. I know that there were both long runs in those, but Alex has always had wheels. He was a really good athlete in his prime, and that was honestly one of the weird things to watch unfold when he came back from the gruesome leg injury. Was like even when he slid, like I still like clenched and
Uh-huh.
was worried. So he just wasn't the same athlete. But in his prime, he had some wheels.
So let's talk about the offensive starters for this Kansas City Chiefs team. Alex Smith at quarterback, obviously Jamal Charles at running back. Anthony Sherman was the number 2 running back. Donnie Avery, Dwayne Bowe were your two wide receivers there. Golly. Anthony Fasano, the tight end for that team. This was a pretty solid line. Brandon Albert or Brandon, yeah, Brandon. He just spelled it weird. He spelled it with an E, remember? And looked at it after I was reading it. I was like, wait, does that say Braden? I was like, no, it's Brandon. Albert, Jeff Allen, Rodney Hudson, John Asamoah, and Eric Fisher. That would have been his rookie season, Eric Fisher. So he was selected number 1 overall. The Chiefs had 2 number 1 overall picks on that offense.
Yeah, no, they had a really good offensive line that year, and that it showed with how Jamal did. I
Right.
know that 2010 line, I want to say, not to completely deviate from this year's team, but Thomas Jones and Jamal each had close to 1,000, or like they might have both eclipsed it. I think Thomas Jones might have been just short. But the Chiefs were running the ball when they were healthy. And
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to when Donnie Avery is your number 2 receiver. And Dwayne Bowe was past his prime at that point. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, the Chiefs, was that the year that they played the Colts in the wild card round?
Yes, I believe it was.
Oh, man.
I'm on the starters in the roster right now, so I'll move on to the games in the schedule after I run through the defensive starters because we can kind of go by game of this year. They did have a solid defense, but before I get to that, Donnie Avery had 40 catches for 596 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushes for 6 yards, and no touchdowns. So he wasn't the team's leading receiver because Dwayne Bowe had 57 catches for 673 yards and 5 touchdowns. Who was picked in 2007? Who was past his prime, as you already mentioned. Dwayne Bowe was.
Mhm.
And when we look at the defense, they had Tyson Jackson at lefty and nose tackle Donatari Poe, who was the 11th pick in 2012. Mike DeVito on that right defensive end. Justin Houston, left outside linebacker. Akeem Jordan, that left inside
Mm.
linebacker. Derek Johnson right inside, Tamba Hawley right outside, Brandon Flowers, Sean Smith were your left and right cornerbacks, and you had Eric Berry and Kendrick Lewis at your safeties. I'm not 100% sure where this team defense ranked, but I think it was pretty solid.
Yeah, no, that on paper looks like a pretty good squad. I mean,
Yep.
you have even Kendrick Lewis is a guy I liked. He was a little bit limited athletically, but Eric Berry, good. Sean Smith, good. Brandon Flowers, good. Derek Johnson, Tamba Hali, not completely washed up at that point, still
Right.
Productive players. So Tyson Jackson never really lived up to expectations, but was okay at times. Was Glenn Dorsey not on that team? Was he already gone by then?
Well, let me look
I
here real
could be
quick.
way off. I don't remember when Glenn Dorsey was honestly on that Chiefs
Me
team.
either. He could have been. He could just not have been a starter. I was just reading the starters here. Let's see here. They had Hussein Abdullah, Brandon Albert. For some reason, Jeff Allen's listed on here twice. Let me see here. Donatari Poe. I think he was gone already.
Okay.
Because he went to LSU, right? And he was picked fairly high, if I remember, for his position. But yeah, I can't. Oh no, he was right here. Wait, who are we looking for?
Glenn Dorsey.
Glenn Dorsey. No, he's not here. I forgot who we were looking for halfway through my sentence. No, not that Frank Zombo.
That's a good one.
There's some names on here that I haven't heard in a minute.
Andy
Sean
Studebaker?
McGrath.
No, Studebaker was probably a couple years earlier. I think he was 2011.
Yeah. Junior Hemingway.
Wow.
Dexter McCluster, Bradley McDougald. Shout out Kansas. But yeah, there's some interesting guys on here. I was just about to head over to the games and schedule here. They started off on they had a decent winning streak this year.
Was that the 9-0 year where they went 2-5 down the stretch?
Yes, because they beat the Jaguars, they beat the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Titans, Raiders, Texans, Browns, Bills, and then they go 3 straight losses to the Broncos, Chargers, Broncos. They dropped 2 that year to the Broncos. Wow. And then they beat the football team, the Raiders, lost to the Colts, and then lost in overtime to the San Diego Chargers. That to close out the season. Then they played the Colts in the wild card round and lost to them. Yeah, and that game was an absolute explicit. Yeah.
Can we go to 2007, Dwayne Bowe's rookie year? I know that he was pretty solid that year, and I think that was the year that I'm stalling while you look up that team. Larry Johnson, I think, played like 9 games and then broke his foot or whatever, broke his ankle. He had some major injury, I think, about halfway through the season.
Yeah, so 2007, we're not the best team in the league, I'll tell you that. They were 4-12, third in the AFC West. Herm Edwards was the coach. Wait, did he only coach for this year? Okay, that didn't make any sense when I saw that. Okay, anyway, you are right about Larry Johnson. He only played 8 games this season, and it doesn't say that he got hurt, but I think that's
that's impressive for someone who was 8 years old back then. I followed my Chiefs, dang it.
There you go. 559 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground, and 158 rushing attempts in 8 games. That's a lot of attempts. Holy cow.
Former record leader, Larry Johnson. He might still have it. Or did Le'Veon finally break it? I think Le'Veon broke total touches, but I don't think he broke the single season attempts record. I think.
That's interesting. I don't know. Fine. We'll look it up. After I tell you that the Chiefs had 5 players attempt to pass that season. Damon Huard, Brody Croyle, Tyler Thigpen. The last 2, I want you to guess who the last 2 you think they are. They're not actually quarterbacks.
Was one of them Larry Johnson?
Yes.
And the other one it might have been Dwayne Bowe, honestly.
Eddie Kennison was the other one who threw a pass.
Kennison.
It fell incomplete. But wait. Oh, he got sacked. He didn't even throw it. So it was a passing attempt, but he got sacked. I was looking at it. I was like, how come it says it has 0 attempts? And then I went and looked back. His QBR is 3.4. So A little bit better than some of these quarterbacks out here. That will do it for today's podcast preview. If you enjoyed the preview, make sure to check out the full show out on your favorite podcast provider. Don't know how to find it? Go to smarturl.it/roughing. Got a splash page. You can find your favorite provider there and find the show there, or go into the search bar of your favorite show, type in Roughing the Kicker. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. It really helps us out. If you enjoy the channel and the podcast as a whole, subscribe and obviously get that notification bell on because you don't want to miss any more podcast previews. We'll be back with another video soon. So until then, I'll talk to you next time.